Thank you all for coming to January 2025's LGBTQIA plus commission meeting. To start off, before we call roll, I did want to acknowledge that Billy Heilman has offered his resignation as a commissioner. He has been an incredible commissioner that showed an immense amount of leadership and dedication to this commission, and left a lasting legacy for this commission, and really saw it through both very good and very challenging times. And so I just wanted to take a moment to give him a word of gratitude towards his service. So to start off, we're going to do roll call attendance. If your name is called, please unmute and say that you are here. Leonard Orbovich, excuse me.
Here.
Catherine Calhoun. Julian McLean.
I'm here.
Wonderful. Richard Persakian.
Whoops. Yeah. Here.
Great. Shanti Porter. Sarah Rosso.
I'm here.
Great. Derek Tynes. Guillermo Velasquez.
Here.
Kevin Carroll. Barbara Warwick. Donald Donovan.
Yeah.
And Alexander Gray.
Here.
And with that, we meet quorum. Thank you, everybody. Starting off, I'm not sure if everybody got the chance to read and see the minutes that Billy sent out. If you were not able to, I can share my screen and show those minutes, if that is all right with everybody. Just give me a moment to pull that up. All right. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Wonderful. So these would be the November 2024 minutes. This is the last meeting in which we met quorum. I'm just going to scroll through it really quick. If anybody has any questions, please let me know. And if we approve these minutes, then they will be posted on our website for anyone else to be able to see and evaluate what we've been doing. Sorry if I moved a little fast. Is everybody able to evaluate and read whatever they needed. Does anybody have any questions? Great. Can I have a motion to approve the November 2024 minutes?
So moved.
Can I have a
Second.
second? Wonderful. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say nay. And it is approved. Wonderful. I accidentally realized that I had sent our agenda for this month to the folks that send me the Zoom link for the LGBTQIA commission meeting instead of to the actual LGBTQIA commissioners. So I am going to screen share our agenda for this month so that everybody can see exactly what we're doing without any confusion. All right. All right, can everybody see? Oh, this is not the right agenda. Oh, it is. I forgot to change November. So we already did roll call and we approved the prior minutes. I want to go on. Billy mentioned, and this is again my fault that I did not realize that elections were supposed to happen last month. We did not meet quorum, so that wasn't going to happen anyway. But I am open to either holding elections now or giving folks a month to be able to evaluate if they want to be an officer or not, and then nominate themselves. But technically speaking, anyone can nominate themselves or someone else at this time for any of the co-chair, secretary, treasurer, or outreach coordinator roles, and we would vote on behalf of that nomination. So just going to give some flexibility there. Commissioners, please feel free to speak up and express either whether you'd like to put it off or you'd like to nominate yourself or somebody else for a position.
Adriana, this might be a little bit in the weeds, but I'm wondering if in the absence of our December meeting and the lack of the agenda, I think we can announce. I think the way that we've done this in the past is that there has to be notification for members of the commission to know that there's going to be an officer's election. So we couldn't do it all in one fell swoop, but Lenny, you are an expert in this process. So I'm going to have you jump in here, but I just wanted to say, like, we need to get this done. This is really critically important to get people to step up and fill those officer positions. And also, I think we have a duty to post that notice to the entire body.
Yeah, I would agree with Sarah. I think that we have to make everyone aware of the positions, what the responsibilities are, give everybody an opportunity to decide whether or not they want to nominate themselves and serve, and then we would vote. So yeah, we would need at least another meeting.
That's totally reasonable. Honestly, I went over the bylaws today just to see if there was any specifics. They had just talked about nomination, but if it has been tradition to give folks like a little bit of leeway to read up on the positions and think about what notification to figure out if they want to serve as an officer, I'm totally fine with that. Alexander, I see you have a question.
Yeah, are the descriptions of those officer positions, is that something that we have access to?
Yeah, that's in the bylaws. I believe I shared them with y'all during your onboarding, but I'm very happy to follow up this meeting, sending everybody the bylaws just in case they don't, if it's way back in your downloads and you just don't know where it is, or if you need to read up on it, I'm more than happy to bump that for everybody and send it after the meeting.
Thank you.
Adriana, could you just send the description of the positions so we just have that so we don't have to go through everything else? Yeah.
Not a problem. Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely pull that out and send that after this meeting. Is there any other questions folks have about the elections or nominations or yeah?
I have a comment. I think I'd like to add to Lenny that there are some commissioners that already had served some of these positions. I include myself as to one of them. I would like to continue to remain involved, although I am not able to hold any position. But I'm only saying that so that there are new members to this commission that can consider, hopefully consider some of these positions for the leadership to continue.
I appreciate that, Guillermo. I think that's very, very helpful, and it's good context to give newer commissioners. And I think Billy said something very similar in his email to us about that, many of the officers are first term or are in their first year, and they're happy to take on that. So if, again, I'll give folks about a month until the next meeting. Feel free to take some time to look over the positions. And if you have any questions, reach out. We can talk through it. Um, and we'll pick this back up next month if that's all right with everybody. Yes, Alexander.
Yeah, should we, if we are interested in one of those positions, should we prepare a statement or anything else more formalized, stating our objectives and purpose?
Great question for Lenny and some of the other commissioners that have been through these elections before, since I will admit that I started in late January of last year, and so I was not here when the elections for the current officers happened. So I'm gonna lean a little bit on some of the other commissioners to answer whether folks give speeches or kind of a summary as to why they're interested in that role, or if they just kind of nominate themselves and they're voted on.
Sure. So you certainly can, if you want to, when you nominate, if you're going to self-nominate, as most people do, it's certainly appropriate for you to say why and what your vision is and how you feel you would serve and what you hope to accomplish. I think people have done both. Some people just said, "Yeah, I'll do it," and we vote on them, and other people have said, "Yeah, I'd like to because." So I would say it's entirely up to you. It's not a requirement, but there's absolutely no reason that you couldn't, and it would certainly be helpful. I don't know if anybody else wants to jump in on that, but that's just the way it's gone in the past.
Um, yeah, I have a suggestion. Those are interested perhaps can have a quick chat with you, Lenny, since you had in the past volunteer for the uh, nominating committee. So they have a little bit of background, maybe, and also to avoid duplication of nominees, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, and that would be fine too. If you want, if anyone wants to shoot me an email and let me know that you're thinking about, running for an office and give me an idea, and tell me what you'd like me to say. We could go that route as well. Perfectly happy to do that. Whatever everyone's most comfortable with.
Thank you, Lenny.
Are there any remaining questions regarding elections that will be held for officers next month? Wonderful. I'm going to move on to the reports of the special committees. Once we have officers in place, we really should think about whether or not we're going to stand up these committees again. But in the meantime, I'm happy to cover some of the larger events or things that we're planning and give updates and talk through any decisions or votes that need to happen regarding them. First and foremost, I'm going to talk a little bit about planning the SOGI training for city employees. I did meet with HR this month about how we could get our current HR trainers that do all of our discrimination, harassment, and our fair hiring training trained in sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression education to be able to kind of do the train the trainer model to make sure that both the commission, the mayor's office, HR as a whole, as well as the Office of Community Health and Safety are trained. That was just like the bare bones kind of start of groups before making that more broad. I did start to reach out to Sarah and Hugh Lane because they provide that training. And we are currently talking through kind of options as to what will work best for HR based off, budget and capacity and what we're kind of looking for to ensure that we can get that education out to all the city employees that are interested in having it. And so we are kind of in the middle of it right now, if that makes any sense. Like I'm in the midst of kind of working with HR and Hulaine to figure out what's going to work out. And so I should have a more solid update on SOGI training and when we can start doing that formalized training during the next meeting. But does anybody have questions in the meantime or want to know anything more about that? Seeing none, I'm going to move on to town halls. Um, as I said before, we decided when and where we're going to hold that town hall, and I think that's really important. But I would really want to lean on the commissioners here to think more about the purpose in itself, as to not only the purpose, but like how are we really marketing this to the community? I think making it super too open-ended is not going to be very attractive, and I think making it too specific is not going to be very attractive to the community. And so I know that's a really difficult kind of way to think about it, but I'm hoping we can hit some sweet spot where we are giving flexibility to community members to talk about issues that are really important to them. But we're also not having it so broad that we can't answer or address their problems, because we know that a lot of folks don't realize kind of what the city's specific responsibilities are. And I would hate to have folks talking about stuff like healthcare issues that we don't have oversight on and we can't really address. So that's just an example, but I'm open to discussion here.
Adriana, I think because this could be the first one in a really long time, part of this needs to be introducing what the commission is all about. I mean, just a basic part of the um, overall of what we are tasked to do for the community. So I think that's number one.
And also a little bit of background as to why the city thought it was important, somebody from the city perhaps to speak on behalf of that, so that there's some kind of community involvement and they see that the city's involved. And like Richard was saying, these are the things that what have been our accomplishments so far, meaning the mission, bylaws, the brochure, all these different things that we have done. I think it will be a good introduction to create a context for everybody to then say, this is we want to speak to the community. We want the community to know these are the goals that what we have been speaking already, goals that we would like to accomplish for the commission to be there, advising the city.
I love that. So just starting off, just so I'm making sure I'm mirroring what I'm hearing. Richard, you said that it would be really great to talk about what the commission does, why we're here, what's the importance of them. Guillermo, you're talking about more of a city lens as to why the city is prioritizing our community, why our commission exists in the first place, what our purpose is and what our priorities are, and what we're doing to address those needs of our community. And I think that's a really wonderful spot to start with. I don't want to call it like a meet and greet, but meet and greet the LGBTQIA commissioners, I think is a really wonderful place to begin. Do you think that there should be a space for community members to talk about their concerns or their needs? Do you think that it would be good to have maybe like they send in questions that the commissioners answer? Like what is kind of comfortable? Because I'm right now I'm kind of imagining like maybe like a panel of commissioners and maybe some other folks from the city that can address issues or specific services from the city that the commissioners might not have to like oversee, if that makes sense.
Well, we could make it interactive rather than having people speak at the time. Maybe, how sometimes you have facilitators and they place these white sheets on the wall and people get a sticker and they just write. So I think, like in 15 minutes or 20, you can have much of a feedback from people than have giving people a specific time for them to speak and convey their idea. And then maybe out of this information that we gather, we analyze this data and we say this is what the community is saying in this specific meeting. And then we hear all of these different things from all different communities, and then we start assessing what we hear on every location where we go and what seems to be the thing that worries the most to people.
Thank you for that. Sorry, I'm just scribbling down notes. Sarah, I think I saw your hand first.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think if we're gonna do this in the first quarter, which also ties into the first, sorry, sorry, I had to sneeze in the middle of that. First 100 days of the
Bless
administration,
you.
I think that we have to have some framing around safety. So I think whether we invite city services to participate or create a forum for folks to ask questions and check in around that, I think it would be a miss, especially for our trans and non-binary and gender expansive community members. I think that's a space that we have to create and provide support around, but we're also going to need to do some additional work to be prepared in advance. So I think we would have some homework to do, but again, um I don't think we can miss that conversation to hear from folks about how they're maybe not how they're feeling so much as what they need, and then what the city's response is, which I think ties in nicely to like why the commission exists, why we're here, and what we can do overall.
Couldn't agree more. No, I really appreciate that. Lenny, I saw you next.
Sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say I went to one several months ago, maybe a year ago now, that Chief Scarrato did while he was still Chief Scarrato, of course. And the organization that ran it had us write down as we signed in, had us, if we had a question we wanted to be put to the chief, we wrote it down, questions, concerns, whatever. And then there was a moderator that essentially interviewed him, read the questions, and then the chief responded to them. And I thought the format worked. And then people in the audience who had a comment, or if it was their question, whatever, a follow up, were able to interact like that. But I thought that was a good format that worked. It was pretty effective.
No, I love that. And that makes a ton of sense to be able to give people that flexibility, not to have to think of a question too far in advance, but also not throwing it at the panelists the second that they're on stage. Julian, I see your hand.
Oh yeah. I was just gonna say these are all great ideas, but I just wanted to also mention I think that the community would look to us to be kind of the experts on the mayor's position on LGBTQI positions. So maybe a part of our homework or something that we could review is like what initiatives or projects or programs he's already started or that he has on the horizon. Um, so we can kind of be reverberated on that before we go into questions and answers. Because I think that that would be a question that I would have, like, what is the mayor going to do if I would come to a forum like this? So
I think that's great. And I can definitely put together some like a briefing or something along those lines that kind of gives a good summary of his issues, of projects that we're working on, or of anything else that's going on in the city government related to our community that might be of interest to our community members. And I can definitely make sure that folks get that within the next week or two.
thank you. Yeah.
Anybody else? Any questions, comments here?
And to also piggyback on what Julian is saying, it's like what protections are in place at the moment for our community. So a lot of people have no idea that we sort of live in this bubble of protection. And the city has made major strides through the years. And I think a lot of people have no idea. They're not aware of what is already on the books to protect us. And I think just some bullet points would be really good.
Yeah, I got that down. I think that's a really great flag there. And I definitely can do that as well.
I mean,
Alexander, I see your hand. Oh, I'm sorry, Richard, please.
I mean, like, for instance, the fact that if you're a city employee, gender affirming care is part of your health plan. And conversion therapy has been done away with in our city. So there are those kinds of very simple things are important. That's all.
Absolutely. No, I can't agree more. And including, stuff like our non-discrimination laws include gender identity and sexual orientation, like stuff like that, that if somebody saying you can't get an apartment because you're trans, that is literally against the law in Pittsburgh. So things like that. I'm more than happy to put that all together and try to get like an infographic or an info sheet out to everybody. Alexander, I saw that your hand was up. Do you still have a question or a comment?
Yeah, so I could not agree more with Richard. As someone who works at the University of Pittsburgh School of Law, that sort of access to understanding the legal framework, I think, is really important. I also just wanted to ask how Trans Uniting is being involved, and if we do a panel, I think it would be great to have a representative from them as well. Yeah.
No, I appreciate that question. So first and foremost, Julian is part of Trans Uniting PGH. So if he is interested in being on the panel, I'm more than happy to have him. I also, just because we would be hosted by them, am more than happy to include them both in the panel itself as well as the planning. And so I'm super open-ended in this and as flexible as possible. I really wanted to get some thoughts from the commissioners first and foremost about how you imagine this, but I'm very happy to like fold Trans Uniting into this.
I do want to make a clarification there
Yeah.
that Trans Uniting and True T work very closely
Oh,
together.
that's my bad.
Yeah. But Shantae sits on the board of Trans Uniting, so we do have a connection.
Okay, heard.
But yeah, we work on a lot of projects. We're sitting side by side, like on a lot of programs. But yeah.
No,
So,
I appreciate that. I needed that clarity. Thank you.
yeah, no problem.
Any other questions, comments, initial thoughts on stuff they'd like to see or be included in this town hall as we're planning? Cool. I have a ton of notes down. I'm going to talk to Charisse this week and see what we can do to start moving on some of this. Julian, I will probably be reaching out to you to get some more information and see how I can fold everybody else in. And I will come back next month with an update on where we are. Is that all right with everybody?
Just like a little footnote, I'm actually really excited for this year, guys. It seems like we're making strides, and I'm just excited for all the, the work everyone's wanting to put in and, step up and be co-chair, secretary, treasurer, all that. Yay, commissioners.
Thank you for that. And I couldn't agree more. I'm very excited for this year, and we have a lot of really wonderful things coming up. Speaking of which, so for anybody that missed it, something got crossed in the communication, and the logo we originally voted on a few months ago is not allowed because it actually breaks the city's like design protocol on not editing the seal. I know that sounds crazy, but the end all be all here is that for the time being, because we couldn't have that seal up on the commission website. Can everybody see what I'm looking at on the commission website right now?
Yep.
Wonderful. On the commission website, we have this as the potential new logo. It is kind of a placeholder at this moment. If everybody here says that they hate it and they don't want it, then I can take it down by tomorrow. But we have to vote on whether this can be our logo. Because as you can see, we're not editing the logo, the seal itself, but we're including the seal in the rainbow. Anyway, can I have a motion on whether on to approve this logo as the LGBTQIA plus Commission's official logo?
Can I make a friendly amendment
Absolutely.
as the temporary logo?
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, that's fine. Like as the temporary, yeah, that's totally fine.
Like to use this for the time being, but design something that better incorporates the rainbow in ways that we're allowed to in the City of Commission seal, like the seal. That would be, I think we can vote either way, but I would just say, like, I think this is a temporary placeholder. You've put it up on the website, and we're just going to move forward with approving it for this evening. And then we can come back and revisit whether we want to do a redesign or just live with it as it is.
Totally fine with me. Yeah. Can I have a motion on whether or not to approve this temporary logo for the LGBTQIA plus Commission?
So move.
Oh, okay.
Second?
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Wonderful. This is our temporary logo. We can come back next month. I can talk to our communications team a little more and see what other options we have, if there are other options to kind of work into this. But we can come back next month and talk through whether or not we want to make this our permanent logo or if we want to evaluate other options, if that's all right with everybody.
And Sarah, I'd like to hear your you don't have to tell me now, but like what your thought process is about improving this or changing it.
I would just keep it really simple, but it looks like the city logo on a rainbow flag. Like it doesn't look like an actual logo. I would just say if we could make the outer yellow banding the rainbow progress pride colors or something similar, like something simple that has a rainbow incorporated into the actual like logo, like whether we went square or circle. The Pennsylvania Commission uses the keystone as a rainbow as a simple example. So I don't think it has to be anything intensely designed, but just something that incorporates the rainbow as more of a logo as opposed to like the city seal on a rainbow flag, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you all for that. I wanted to give an update on gender neutral single stall bathrooms. So you guys gave a recommendation on making all of the single stall bathrooms in city facilities gender neutral or all gender. And also to get kind of a spreadsheet or like a data set of where all the bathrooms were located in city facilities and whether or not they were single stall bathrooms. So, and one is kind of contingent on the other, like for us to understand exactly how impactful the single stall bathroom recommendation is going to be and how much, money we're going to be asking council. And that's kind of on my side, just for everybody's understanding. How much money I'm going to be asking to like change the signs and such. I also have to have an understanding as to how many single stall bathrooms exist in the city of Pittsburgh, in the facilities. Long story short, I spoke to DPW like 2 weeks ago. We had a very wonderful long conversation about this. They are very open and excited and supportive of making our single stall bathrooms gender neutral. They too do not have a very clear data set at this moment as to where all of those bathrooms exist and how many exist. And so we are getting an intern in the next few weeks that is going to be tasked with doing all of the outreach to our city facilities and finding out exactly where these bathrooms exist, how many of them exist, getting kind of a total number all over the city facilities, as well as being able to identify exactly how impactful this recommendation would be. I am hopeful to have that information, like that full data set by like March. And so we will hopefully be able to move forward on this recommendation and give a clear ask of council to say, if there's like 30 of these restrooms throughout, that's just a random number I'm pulling out. There's 30 of these restrooms all over the city. We can say there's 30 of them. They exist in, parks and community centers and senior centers. And we would like signage that costs this much to be approved by city council to make those changes. And so just wanted to give everybody an update that is moving along, that we have identified a way that we can get this data set together within the next 6 to 8 weeks. And I should be able to have more information on this for our next meeting. It should be in progress, but definitely in March, I am hopeful to have a clear data set to be able to present to all the commissioners. Any questions there?
I have a concern. Is the new, I hate to say his name, but you know who I mean, administration going to have an impact on any of this?
Nope.
Good, thank you.
Oh, please. Yeah, I didn't even realize that Barb was here. Please go ahead, Barb.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask. So I actually had a conversation about this with Addie Lord. I don't know if you all know them, but because they had asked me about like, I guess just would it be possible to think about it like one step further, where like, if we're doing renovations of that, because we're looking at doing renovations of a lot of rec centers and things like that, like. And again, I don't know what would be required, but, things like, for example, doors that go all the way to the floor or things like that, so that maybe you could just have all the bathrooms be gender neutral. I don't know. I just, just a thought of sort of like taking that to the next, if there's legislation needed, like taking it to the next level where it's like we're actually doing that for anything new that we're doing to bathrooms, that we are taking this into account.
I am more than open to that, and I'm more than happy to support that in the work I do. That is obviously for the commissioners to create a recommendation around if they choose to. But just to say, the city county building I thought had no single stall, or excuse me, no gender neutral bathrooms. And I found out on the 8th floor, because it's owned by the county, they actually do have a gender neutral bathroom that has 2 stalls in it, and both of the stalls go completely to the floor for somebody's privacy. And so I can have seen it possible on the county side, and I definitely am happy to support it. But that is for the commissioners to make if they choose to have a motion and to approve another recommendation. I'm more than happy to support it on my work. Does anybody have any questions about that, or should we move along? Maybe we want to think about that, come back to it during our next meeting.
And is that something like, this is Julian, is that something the city would confirm or deny that like would be in the budget for like a full renovation with like full bathroom stall reverb? Or is that like,
sorry, not to cut you off, Julian. I think, and Barb, please feel free to cut in and correct me. I think what's being asked now is that if there's already a renovation that's happening, like a rec center is being renovated and it happens to also include bathrooms and that renovation, that we would ask that whatever bathrooms are being installed are gender neutral.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I think it's a good recommendation. I don't see why we wouldn't, go ahead and make that request where renovations are happening. That's my 2 cents, but we still need to open it up for discussion and vote.
Yeah, so do we have any discussion around that? Oh, please go ahead, Alexander.
I know that's been a big part of Mayor Gainey's platform discussion with Corey O'Connor, just namely what he's done for developing after school programming and these rec centers. So maybe that also reinforces that. So just pointing that out.
Thank you for that. Anybody else have any other comments they want to make regarding this potential recommendation? Do we have a motion to approve this recommendation or to formalize it?
I move to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of a recommendation to make, for just for clarity, for any renovations that involve a bathroom facility to make that facility gender neutral, please say aye.
Before you do that, Adriana, would it also include new construction? Not renovation, not only resident renovation, but new construction?
I think that's a good point. I have no reason as to why I wouldn't believe that it would also involve new construction if that new construction involves a bathroom facility. So I can amend what I just said a little bit. All those in favor to approve a recommendation to make all new construction and renovation projects that involve a restroom facility a gender neutral restroom, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say nay. All right, and we have approved that recommendation. Moving forward, I talked a little bit about this with commissioners in December. Long story short, Barbara Warwick's office has been meeting with some sex work advocates that have been working on an ordinance that is going to reduce the penalty related to being arrested for prostitution. Originally, it could have involved jail time. It had a very significant fine. And when you had, I believe it was a misdemeanor, when you have that on your record, it could create barriers to housing and other social services. With the work that Barb Warwick's office is doing, to reduce that penalty, it would be $100 fine, no jail time involved, and it would not go on your record the way a misdemeanor does, so it wouldn't create the same barriers to housing and other social services. The reason I wanted to put this on here is because the advocates talked about interest in coming to the commission and talking more about this issue, kind of presenting it to the commission if that is something the commission is interested in. So this is really an ask as to if we want them to come and talk about this legislation in more detail in a way that could address some of the concerns that specifically affect our community. I know that when I was talking about this last month, we were talking more about like specific data related to our community. And so I don't have that information, but I'm sure they would. And so I just wanted to put that as a possible ask to see if the commission would be interested in having them come and present. Alexander.
I absolutely move to invite them to come present.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of having them come and present about the sex worker ordinance that they're working on, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say nay. Wonderful. And so that is approved. I will reach out to them and see if they're available in February to come and present to us, and we'll carve out some time in our agenda to have them talk through the work that they've been doing. And last but not least, I have one thing for new business. Oh, Alexander, please.
I'm so sorry. Is there an organization that in particular will be interested in presenting to us?
Barb, not to call you out, I know the activists' names, but I'm not sure if they have a specific. I know they do have an organization that they work in, but it's
the acronym is SWOP. I believe it's SWOP. And I don't remember what it stands for. It's like sex worker or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can also send that out. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to call you out in that mode. Yeah, I can definitely get more information there, send it out, make sure you all are kind of looped in and get whatever information is necessary before they come and present. Does that work for everybody?
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. Last but not least, I'm very excited to talk about this. I have been keeping this, I don't want to say a secret from you guys for a little while, but I wanted to make sure the budget was finalized before I talked about this. But Mayor Gainey has created some room in his budget to hold a festival for our community in October that is going to be organized by the mayor's office, more specifically me. I'll be the project manager. For some context, if anybody from here doesn't know, I am from Philadelphia originally, and growing up in Philly, we had Pride every June, which is wonderful. But in many ways, Pride, can get a little removed from community. A lot of really big corporations and such show up, and not that that takes away from the history, because it is still really, really significant and relevant and a really wonderful thing that we have every year. But every October for Coming Out Month, we had Outfest in Philadelphia, which is more like a giant gay block party. It is extremely community oriented, and so when I was there, it would really only be community organizations, like services that specifically are like located in Philadelphia and serve queer Philadelphians. And it usually had like drag performances and DJs and games. And it was just a really wonderful, amazing festival in which we could be proud about our identities and about our community. And so I pitched this to the mayor's office many months ago when they were developing the budget, and they saw a huge amount of value in it, and they thought that it was going to be really, really important, especially in a time where a lot of our community members are targeted, to really show not only solidarity, but to really uplift our community and the identities that we hold. And so there is going to be a festival this October that I am starting to plan. And the reason I'm bringing this up to the commission is I cannot imagine putting this together or organizing this without a lot of you or hopefully all of you involved. I'm going to start to put together a planning committee to really figure out all of the details. And I really wanted to put this before all of you first to make sure not only that you were aware that this was happening, but if you are interested or open to being a part of that planning committee, which would probably meet like bi-monthly, at least for now until we get closer to the festival, we might have to meet a little closer or more frequently. But I wanted to kind of open it up if anybody has questions. A lot of things are not figured out yet. We're going to be kind of leaning on some city services and, you know, permits and licensings and things like that to get through some of that red tape. But I'm happy to take questions at this time.
Is there any proposed location?
We have talked about a few, but no, there is not a solid location yet.
Well, first of all, thank you for the initiative and congratulations on getting the mayor to support something like that. Since it's an event solely supported by the city, maybe some kind of location close to City Hall or something like that would be ideal, but that can be depending on what's more safe and convenient for everybody. But I think this is great.
I'm very, very happy to hear that. And honestly, I'm super open to location ideas. Doesn't even have to be a specific place, can definitely be like a neighborhood. One of the things I am trying to overcome is that the LGBTQIA community in Pittsburgh is a little spread out. Like we're not really centralized in one specific area the way they are in Philadelphia. So in Philly, it made a lot of sense to hold this festival in the neighborhood, which is in Center City, which is the easiest place for everybody to get. I have had a harder time figuring out what would be the best place to hold it in Pittsburgh, just because we have multiple kind of sections of our community that are spread out. And also, I didn't want to just pick a central location that is easiest for everybody to get to, but doesn't have any connection to our community. So I've been in a little bit of a pickle there as far as what the best way to go forward with that is. And that's kind of the point of this planning committee is I really don't think this should be my decision alone, especially, as I said, I am not from Pittsburgh originally, and I want to be able to lean on folks that have been here and grown up here for a very long time or lived here for a long time to be able to have an opinion on where they think it's going to be successful. Alexander, please.
Oh, I just want to say I would love to be involved. Like, any way you let me know how I can support this, I love the idea. Do you have any sense of what the budget might look like for the event?
I need to look at the exact numbers, but I believe I put in $22,000 in the budget to be able to hold this event. That is also understanding that there will be some things that are covered in kind by the city, like usually I feel like you usually have to pay to have like police at a specific event, and like we probably wouldn't have to do that, like that kind of context. So just wanted to add that. I'm not sure who went first with Lenny or Julian. Lenny, I'll just,
Go ahead, Julian. Go ahead. I'll wait.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad that question was answered because I was gonna say who's the headliner, Beyonce, but okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd also like to be involved in the planning process as well. But yeah, you pretty much answered all my questions, but yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Wonderful. And oh, I had a comment. It doesn't even have to be called Outfest. I've been calling it Outfest just because that's what the Philadelphia version is, because it's literally coming out month. But like, we don't even have to call it that. If there's a more Pittsburgh-y version of it, then I'm more than happy to do that. Like, I'm super flexible in just about any of the details.
I think that would be Outfest.
Outfest, yeah.
We can keep it rolling. I'm open to all the ideas. Lenny, I'll let you go.
Thanks, Adriana. Hey, this is great. Thank you so much. And yeah, like here I said, congratulations for getting this through. I absolutely will help support and be involved in the planning. And also, I'll have to speak to the other people on our queer equity committee with the school district, but I can't imagine that we wouldn't want a presence as well. So, and be able to get out with the community and talk about, the services and supports that and the policies that we have and, what all we provide for our kids. So,
Lenny, you are
yeah,
2 steps ahead of me. I couldn't agree more. I would absolutely love to have PPS involved in any way that they would like to be, and
like
especially
I said,
as I said,
I can't say for sure, but I can't imagine that everybody wouldn't agree.
At the most, they are more than welcome to help with the planning. At the very least, I would love to have them there at like some sort of table or something or anything in between. So I'm very open to that. That sounds great.
Yeah, I can't imagine we wouldn't want a table. I won't. So I make the
Wonderful. Anybody else have any questions or comments or just
Yeah,
is interested in being involved? Yeah, Guillermo, please.
me. I'm trying to find the hand here, and I can't find it on my Zoom. I don't know why. One, two things. One is that I also can be part of the planning committee if you need additional help. Two, the city usually organizes events with the Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership, and there might be a good group to approach. They may want to help, out of in kind something, but they're very good at planning anything if it happens in downtown.
Another really phenomenal idea. And this is exactly why I was like, I cannot wait to tell the commission because they're going to have such wonderful and amazing ideas and ways that we can make really great connections with this. And I think that's going to be wonderful. So yeah, I couldn't agree more. If we're holding it downtown, I would definitely love to lean on the
Yeah, and
downtown
they have been helping with the international parade that also
Mm-hmm.
happens in October. So
Absolutely.
I wouldn't think that they would not want to help.
Great. Amazing. Julianne, I see your hand.
Yeah, I just had a general question, but like when the city gets pushed back for like events like these, because I'm sure they do, like I don't know, if people phone in or on socials and stuff like that, what does that look like from like the city? I've just always wondered that, like the bureaucracy.
Yeah. That's a really good question. So, you can, I'm sure a lot of people like comment on posts and stuff on social media. A lot of people actually just call the mayor's office, which is really interesting. Not to call Sharice out, but she actually deals with all of that for the most part when people call and have complaints or concerns or overall just not very happy with something that's happening in the city, like an event. Sharice usually takes the brunt of all of those. So yeah, and we've prior to her being in her position, a few of us also did that front desk work and had to take those calls, and it is not always easy. So I will be doing everything I can to ensure her mental health in the midst of this, just in case anybody is trying to call and be rude or ignorant towards this event.
Okay, great. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Richard?
I would be interested. It seems like all of us want to be involved in this. I specifically, since I've been involved in Pride for over 20 years, planning different aspects of it, I would be interested. One of my concerns would be the date. October is heavy with a lot of Halloween events. I don't know what's going on in the city downtown. There's always something that Downtown Partnership is going to be involved in. So the date is going to be very important. And obviously, location. I've done them all over the city, the north side, Mellon Park, on Ellsworth Avenue. It would be a good discussion to have to make sure that we can impact as many of our community people and it's easily accessed and also involved when you talk about parking issues. There's so much to look at. And city services, they do partner with some of the city stages that we've had before in terms of portable stages, which are important, sound, lighting, all of that is important. And if they are willing to come up with some budget to help with that, that would really make our life much easier.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that a lot of this will be, as you said, both the services that the city can provide as well as kind of leaning on each other to think about how this is going to be like most accessible and helpful to our community members and make sure as many of them can show up as possible. I think that's going to be really, really great. Um, so yeah, I wanted to pose this as like a anybody that is interested in being a part of this planning committee can be. I didn't want to force the whole commission to be, just because I know a lot of you are very busy with your own professional and personal lives, and I didn't want to infringe on that more than the commission already does. But I am happy to send out more information as we start to pull that planning committee together, and anybody that is available, even if it can't be for the entire time, but for a short period of time to give your 2 cents, I'm more than happy to make that accessible to everybody here.
And just one more quick note.
Yeah.
It would be good to maybe talk to the Cultural Trust. I have all those connections. If we decide to do something downtown, they're opening up more space, especially for their arts festival, and planning between on Penn Avenue between 8th and 9th is a bigger open space. So if it becomes downtown, so there's a lot of discussions to have, but I can provide a lot of those contacts.
Yeah, absolutely. And Richard, you had mentioned something about a date. I'm totally here with you on that. I was always thinking earlier October, just because I don't want it to get too meshed with Halloween, and also the weather can be pretty unpredictable the further you get into October in Pittsburgh. And if we wanted to do this outside, which again, flexible there, but if we wanted to do this outside, then early October would make the most sense, just to have more bearable weather.
October 11th is National Coming Out Day.
Yes. So either on that day or close to that day would be wonderful, you know.
And that actually falls on a Saturday.
Amazing. I'd also say that as I'm holding these planning meetings, in between these meetings, when we're having commission meetings, I can always give an update or a quick overview for any commissioners that cannot make it for whatever reason, and we can always hold a little extra space for this, just because I really want to make sure that as many folks are included as possible. I've also spoken to Dina Stanley, since she organizes Pride, about the fact that this event is happening, and she's also interested in being a part of the planning committee. Any other questions or comments or thoughts about Outfest?
Adriana, I just wanted to thank you for being vulnerable and sharing with us your hardship. And I know I speak for everyone. I offer our support and sympathy for your Philadelphia upbringing. So I'm really sorry about that.
Lenny, I'm not apologetic at all. Not even a little bit. And if y'all knew how much hate I get wearing an Eagles hat into my office, you would understand my sorrow.
Yes, girl,
yes,
take that off.
Yes. But I'm not gonna stoop down to your level, Lenny. I'm not gonna say go birds in the midst of this commission meeting, okay? But go birds. Any announcements before we adjourn?
I do have a comment.
Yes.
And based on what you share with us about Billy leaving the commission, uh, because he was a lawyer and he was a secretary. He was keeping us on track with everything, but just the fact that he was a lawyer, also he had an insight of the way of thinking as a lawyer. And I think it's important that in our next round of recruitment for commissioners, we can consider having somebody with those qualifications, um, because he will always make a comment whenever he thought something that will be out of what's appropriate legally. And I think that's a commission that was important for us to have somebody who's keeping that mentality there.
I hear you completely there, and Billy was an outstanding parliamentarian by all means, and
We have Alex also hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry, Alexander, please.
Yeah, I just want to offer to do some outreach to some people, having worked at a law school with a bunch of people who just became lawyers, just passed the bar, who also happen to be LGBTQIA affiliated. I would be so happy to reach out to them to say, hey, we're looking for people like you. I would be thrilled to do that.
I think that is a wonderful piggyback off of the two of you. I was going to say I'm more than happy to reach out to any of the law schools in the area to let them know about these opportunities. But Alexander, I'll go one step further and say I am more than happy to send you the literal link to go and volunteer as a commissioner the same way you did just a few months ago. And if you know anyone at all that is interested in LGBTQIA Commission or the Gender Equity Commission, please feel free to let them know, as well as anyone else. If you have anybody in your networks, in your organizations, in your close circles that is interested in serving as a commissioner, either on this commission or on the Gender Equity Commission, please either send them to me or reach out to me and I will send you the link to do the volunteer form on our Engage page. It does require you to be a city resident, just as all of you are. But there's really not many other requirements besides that you fit well in the commission that you are interested in being a part of. So as always, I am a huge advocate for us continuing to push for outreach and recruitment, and it only makes our commission stronger. So yeah, more than happy to send that out and let me know if you guys need any support.
Excellent. I also did have a sort of previous business issue. Issue is not the right word. I just wanted to follow up on Jeff Friedman with Qberg as sort of being, I don't know really what the right way of putting it is, sort of the publisher of recaps of our meetings each month. I did speak with him as I'm planning to write an op-ed for Qberg about the housing crisis and how it affects our community. And he just mentioned that he wanted to follow up on that. So I thought I would just bring that up.
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I sent things to Jeff a few months ago. I haven't heard anything back from him, so I'm happy to follow up and see where we are with that, and yeah, see if there's any other way for me to support him in kind of releasing any of our information or any of the work that we're doing. Cool.
Thank you. Oh, also, if anyone wants to give their perspective on the current housing conundrum for our community, I would love to hear from you. If you have any suggestions of people I should interview, that would also be excellent. Yeah.
Any other announcements before we adjourn?
I have a quick announcement. It's not on my behalf, but 8th Street Pittsburgh is having some 2 events for Black HIV Awareness Day in February, but they're having a hard time finding funding. The budget is like $4,000. They've raised around $500. So I'm just putting a little bug in everyone's ear if they know any droplets of coins and funds. And they want to support an event like that. Yeah, then I guess you can reach out directly to me. And I think that you have my email in our email chains, but just a bug.
Julian, I was also going to say, if you have like any links to like their GoFundMe or anything like that, I'm also happy to share that with commissioners so that they can send it out to their networks or any organizations or folks that they know that might want to support that.
Yeah, I have a sponsorship package. It's like a one-sheeter, like an 8x11 one-sheeter, but it has like the donation link on it directly there for people to send their funds if they'd like.
Great. Yeah. Feel free to send that to me or to the commissioners.
Great. Thank you.
Anybody else have any announcements before? All right. Seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn? Do we have a second? Wonderful. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. All right, everybody, I hope you have a wonderful January.